All righty. We are live everywhere. Yes, God. Okay. Hey y'all. So I wanted to come on and make a video. Hey sis. I wanted to come and make a video because I made a post yesterday that I got a lot of feedback on, and I'm gonna wait until the end of the video to respond to comments and questions. But I made a post yesterday in regards to trauma bonding. And I got a lot of feedback on that, a lot of questions, a lot of interest. So I figured that it was something that I needed to address live. Yes, God. So I'm going to get right into it. So the first thing, actually, before that, I just want to mention that I did do a podcast on this yesterday. And I started discussing it, but I really wanted to come on and make a video as well to really get into the nitty gritty about it. And of course, personal development always comes in layers. Everyone is where they are. Everyone is exactly where they need to be. I have done a lot of intentional work on personal development. And the bottom line is that, in order to really evolve and move forward, we need to be sure that we're being honest with ourselves. And I know that it's really typical and it's kind of human nature to want to blame other people for what they did to us, how badly they treated us, how badly they made us feel. And the reality of the situation is that we need to be willing to take accountability and responsibility in our part of co-creating those dynamics. So I'm going to give me just 1 second because I'm going to share this on actually, I'm just going to share it like that. Yes, got it. Okay, let me turn my ringer off. Okay. So let's first talk a little bit. I want to just kind of back up and give some basics because I don't expect everyone to kind of be where I am, and that's not a statement of like hierarchy. I'm not better than anyone else. No one else is better than anyone else. That's the first thing we need to remember, especially when we're talking about, people that we've been in relation with that, we feel have not treated us well. I think we have a tendency to feel like, oh, I'm better than them or I've grown past them. And the bottom line is that we all grow at our own rate. So in my own personal work, and that's what I'm doing, I'm just sharing my own experience. What I have really studied and learned about, a lot of people, we say the word vibes, right? Oh, she had a good vibe. He had a great vibe. I wasn't really feeling his vibe like that. So I want to kind of drill down into what that means. A vibe is not just some, foo-foo word that, metaphysical people use. This is an actual, real scientific thing. Everything is matter. We know that. And energy is matter. So when we talk about vibes, we're actually referring to vibrations. The vibrations that people have. And your vibrations are actually your emotions. So when you are saying that you're feeling someone's vibe or you picked up on a negative vibe or you love the vibe, what you're actually picking up on is that person's emotional state. Okay, because emotion is energy in motion. Okay, that's what emotions are. They're energy in motion. And so when we kind of can wrap our mind around that, we can really sit back and say, wow, okay, so if my emotions are energy that are in motion, we can really say, okay, so then can be aware and mindful of the ways in which I'm directing my energy, right? So, for example, if we're falling in love with someone, or we're experiencing joy, love, bliss, our energy is directed towards that vibratory frequency because all emotions have a different vibratory frequency. Okay. And it's an energetic scale. A great book to read or listen to on that is called Levels of Energy by Fred Dotson. He really explained it like amazingly. And he really goes into the depths on that. Because the bottom line is that everything carries a frequency, whether it's a person, whether it's an emotion, whether, it's an inanimate object. It's all energy. It's all just vibrating at different frequencies. So, the lower frequencies and higher frequencies really dictate how things show up to us in our reality. Um, so basically, with identifying and recognizing that, emotions are energy in motion, then we can start to say, okay, so, we can start to be mindful and say, what is my vibration? Because there's two different kind of parts of this. There's a current vibration that we have like on a second to second, millisecond to millisecond basis, which is, you can kind of identify, okay, you know what, I'm feeling good today. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling healthy. I'm feeling strong. Or sometimes it's like, I'm not feeling that good. I'm not feeling great right now. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and we can pretty quickly identify where our vibrational frequency is lying in that moment. There is, however, a whole nother side of us, which is what our average vibration is in general. And that is dictated by our subconscious frequency. Okay. And our subconscious frequency is what is attracting. Okay. It's what's attracting, it's what's detracting from us. It's actually what's creating our experiences. And so that's why it's so important to really do subconscious work and look at what our subconscious emotions and beliefs and thought patterns are, because those have a huge impact on what we're manifesting in our life. For example, if you have or know or are someone who takes a negative view of relationships, niggas ain't this, there's no good women are all, and you kind of have these beliefs and these thoughts that really are not empowering, and they're not basically they're not what you really want. You'll notice that regardless of what you consciously want, subconsciously, if you're continually creating these type of expectations of people, places, and things, you're going to be attracting those things to you. For example, if you're like, I know he's cheating on me, I know he's cheating on me, I'm going to look through his phone, I'm going to guess what, eventually, what are you going to find? What usually happens in that instance? You find out he's cheating on you. Why? Not necessarily because he's not a cheater, or it doesn't have that capacity in him, but you have created that by continuously focusing on that. And that's the whole thing about manifestation and universal law, is that we get what we focus on. So not only did you create that, but on a subconscious level, because those are what your beliefs are, you attracted that. You attracted that type of partner. And it doesn't, the surface level of, oh, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to think that, I'm going to believe what you say, and I'm going to, we're going to try it again. We're going to start over fresh. If you have not addressed those subconscious beliefs, you're going to continue to attract the same thing. It doesn't matter if you stay with the same partner or whether you move to another one. Okay, so I just kind of wanted to give that background before I really kind of get into the real deal about trauma bonding, because it's important to understand that we have to know that we have an overall average frequency that we're vibrating at all the time, regardless of, like I said, our day-to-day kind of emotions that fluctuate and our moods and things like that. On a deeper level underneath that surface, we are experiencing a kind of culmination. Okay. And so let's see. And so one of the things that they mention, in a lot of different personal development and self-help and different information, basically states that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Okay. And that sounds like one of those, frou-frou hoity-toity things, but it's real, because the thing is, let's take, for example, let's look at celebrities, or let's look at athletes, or let's look at anyone who is, kind of walking in what they have found and what they've deemed to be their purpose, and they're very strong and resolute in that. If you look around them, they're surrounded by similar people. Okay. You're not going to find a celebrity or an athlete hanging out in the hood on a corner every day, all day long. It's just not going to happen, because that would, in essence, begin to lower their vibration. And the thing is when you look at the different frequencies, lower frequencies have a lot more pull, okay, than higher ones do in terms of rubbing off on other people. So it's very important to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people, places, things, messages, television. Honestly, I don't even watch television because I'm too busy creating. I don't have time to watch television. I think that, it's okay, I guess, here and there for entertainment purposes. But as an entrepreneur, and more importantly, as someone who is really invested in progress in my life and becoming wealthy, and not becoming wealthy because it's something that I personally want for myself only, okay, but I want to become wealthy because I understand that through my wealth, I'm going to be able to reach and impact more people. I heard something the other day that was amazing. It was like, if you're not able to donate to charity $1 million a year, you're not doing enough. And I was like, wow, imagine how that would feel to be able to give $1 million per year, just give it away to help other people. You know how fulfilling that would be? And so the thing is, for my own self personally, I'm using that as my mark. That's where I want to be, in that position to be able to do that for people, and be able to do that for the world. So yes, God. So moving on, and I took some notes, so that's why I'm kind of like going and looking at my notes. So this is where I'm going to go ahead and get into my own personal experience with vibrations and frequency. Oops. And, just talk about how, in retrospect, and really being able to be honest with myself and taking a look at my previous situations, how I was attracting certain bonds and certain connections in my life. So several years ago, so I am from Rochester, New York. I moved to North Carolina back in 2007. Wow, it goes back even farther than that. So if I'm honest with myself, really, and I'm gonna this particular one, I'm gonna focus on romantic connections and relationships, because I think that's something that we can all kind of identify and relate with. And of course, I'm gonna plug Yoni Steaming in there and tie it in at the end as well. But seriously, now that I'm actually like on camera and talking about this, I see how this goes back like really, really far. Okay. Just failed relationships and the domino effect. Okay. Not allowing ourselves the time to heal from relationships, not allowing ourselves the time to examine ourselves in relationships, not allowing ourselves to be alone, and go through those feelings of loneliness and go through those feelings of rejection and really sort that out and, dig down into the subconscious and see where those patterns are coming from. I know myself personally, because I've done, some deep subconscious work, that a lot of my issues with men definitely come from the dynamic with my father. I did not have a very strong relationship with him, a close relationship with him. And to be honest, some of our interactions and connections were actually abusive. And so, those are things that became ingrained in my subconscious. Okay. These are some of the things that became, and this is what I mean about the subconscious culmination of the frequency, because from the outside looking in, I've always been very exuberant, vibrant, optimistic, friendly, fun loving. All that's great. All that's great on a conscious level, but subconsciously, my frequency was attracting relationships with men who were emotionally unavailable, who were emotionally, mentally, sometimes even verbally abusive. And I know that can translate to some women as physically abusive. I've never had that experience with men, because I don't play that shit. But I mean, and it's not to say, but it's all the same. It's all the same thing. And the bottom line is that, that kind of early forming of what the man in my life that I was, to be able to depend on and really be protected by, provided for by. There was an imbalance there. Okay. And so what I found, now looking back in retrospect, is that I attracted situations and I attracted relationships that had similar dynamics to that. Um, and so, like I said, when I first moved here from North Carolina, I got into a relationship. And that, I'm not going to go deep into, I'm not going to be telling my business or anything like that, but I got into a relationship which did not work out. It failed. And then I found myself quickly in another relationship that quickly failed. And then based off of kind of like feeling like a failure and, feeling like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? What's going on? Um, you know, I moved back to New York, which lasted not even a year, and I came back to North Carolina. And then I got into another relationship. I had two children from that relationship. That relationship failed. And then I found myself in yet another situation that was unhealthy. And so this is kind of the situation that I want to focus and pinpoint on because I really recognize the trauma bonding in this particular situation. So, sometimes we can see it from the outset. It's very clear to us to be able to say, you know what, this is how I'm mirroring this person. This person is similar to me. But in the last situation that I'm referring to, I had recently had my daughter. The father and I were not together anymore, and I found myself into a romantic situation with someone else who had also had the experience of recently conceiving a child with someone that they were no longer with. So that, to me, in my mind at the time, felt like, oh my God, this is like destiny, right? This is like meant to be. We both went through the same thing. We both have had the same experience. This is meant to be. And like I said, looking back, what I really realized is that was a very clear indication and proof of the fact that we are who we attract. Okay. And one of the things that this person said to me later on in our relationship, we had gotten into, I don't know, there was some type of argument. And he mentioned something about, he said the words. And the only reason I really remember this is because I actually was I got a new iPhone lately, and I was going through some old pictures and screenshots and things like that. And I saw him say to me, you did that on purpose. You tried to hurt me on purpose because you know that being a parent is one of the only things I feel good about. And it was like an aha moment. I said, oh shit. At that time in my life, that was my script. That was my story. It was like, being a parent is one of the only things that I feel like I've accomplished in my life. And, it was like this huge revelation, it was a huge, just bringing back around. And so, without going any deeper into that, dynamic, the bottom line is that I was severely depressed. Okay. I was severely depressed, and therefore, my overall culmination of my vibratory frequency was very low. And because of that, I attracted someone else whose vibratory frequency was very low. And so, what I want to challenge us to do, especially as we're on this journey of personal development and evolution and really being intentional about wanting to better ourselves, is to let go of some of the stories that we tell ourselves around why relationships didn't work. We focus on the characteristic traits, and sometimes, there is a direct correlation with that too. Sometimes there is a direct correlation with, he was a liar. Okay, where do I lie? He wasn't communicating clearly. Where wasn't I communicating clearly? He kept a lot of secrets. Where did I keep a lot of secrets? Okay, it's important to take the personal out of it and look at things objectively and say, damn, where am I doing that? It may not show up in the exact same ways, the behaviors may not show up in the exact same ways, but the energy has to be a match. The only way that you can be in relationship with someone is if the energy is a match. Okay. And when the energy no longer is a match anymore, it's going to end. Okay. And I think a lot of times we spend time being so hurt and so sad, and so, upset and heartbroken about things that have ended, whether they're romantic relationships, whether they're friendships, whether, no matter what they are. And the bottom line is we have to be willing to look at the energy of the person from an objective point of view and say, is that something that I really wanted to be mirroring? Because the bottom line is that, like I said, when you start to grow and evolve, or the other person starts to grow and evolve, there's going to start to be conflicts. If you're not growing and evolving simultaneously, there's going to be something that is going to separate you. You cannot remain in relationship with someone that you do not have the same culmination vibratory frequency as. It's impossible. That goes against science. It goes against universal law. Okay. And so, like I said, I just want to kind of bring this to, I especially, and this is for everybody, this is for men and women, but especially women. I really want to empower us to really look at our relationships and be able to gain some insight and some information about the parts of us that we need to fix, because we can learn that by looking at our partners. We can learn that through looking at our ex relationships and looking at the dynamics and really saying, wow, you know what? My self esteem was really, really low. This guy showed signs immediately of not respecting me, immediately of not giving a damn, immediately of wanting too much, immediately of not caring about, So the thing is, if he or she did all of those things, that must mean that I'm doing the same to myself. Because how could you possibly allow someone to disrespect you if you respect yourself? You see what I'm saying? I think it is possible to match frequencies. I think it is possible to match frequencies. And I think if there's a conflict, you need to see, this is the thing about life. It doesn't have to be hard. If it's difficult to be in relationship with someone, it is okay to release that relationship. And that's not saying that it's cut off forever and you're never going to talk to them again. But the bottom line is that somebody has to be willing to set the example. Okay. Whoever is raising their vibration and their frequency has to be willing to set the example. And you're not going to set the example by continuing to expose yourself to someone who is treating you poorly. That's just the bottom line. Exactly. You cannot, we cannot feel like a failure. And this is the thing too, is that the best way that you can help people, and I know it seems counterintuitive, but the best way that you can help people is by working on yourself and doing things that make yourself feel whole. And once you begin to, uncover and look at some of your subconscious patterns and, hey, you know what? I do have a tendency to give too much because I want approval because my dad abandoned me. Wow. Okay, how can I start to not abandon myself? Because the bottom line is when we have abandonment issues, that means that we're abandoning ourselves. We are abandoning ourselves and our needs for the sake of someone who's going to abandon us anyways. Because since we have that trait and that tendency to do that, we can only attract someone who is going to inevitably do that. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, just getting really honest with ourselves and getting really humble. Again, it's very easy to say, he did this and he did that and really play the blame game. But, I don't like blame. I don't like blame. I like learning and I like analyzing and I like looking at the root cause of things, because the root cause is where you're going to affect, because the thing is, you can cut off a toxic relationship all day long. I was good for that. I was good for, I'm done with this, moving on. But if I'm not working on changing what it is, what the root in me that is attracting this, I'm going to attract it again. So it doesn't matter if I cut off a relationship, because I'm going to find myself in the same dynamic until I'm willing to address that root cause. Okay. So yes, God. So that's in effect the kind of what I wanted to talk about, and what I wanted to talk about trauma bonding, and the fact that, for me personally, like I said, I was in a situation where it was like we had the same sob story. You know, we had the same sob story. We both, had similar things going on, and that was just the law of attraction. That was just the law of attraction. We both, had victim mentalities. And we both, and the thing is that as you begin to do the work, the deep work, and as you begin to forgive yourself and to let go of the guilt, because guilt, I'm going to do another video on that guilt too, because guilt is huge. And guilt is something that yoni steaming and vaginal steaming is can really, really help with. This is something that I've noticed a lot for myself and a lot of my clients. um, I'll do my plug at the end about yoni steaming, but the more that I began to forgive myself and release guilt, the more I was able to forgive and release him at the same token. And the other thing that we have to be mindful of is, just the same way we can grow and evolve, we have to understand that other people are capable of that too. Some of us are walking around talking shit about somebody we dealt with 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 20 years ago, as if they're still the same person. That's not fair. It's not fair. You don't want people to judge you and make claims about you based on who you were 5 years ago, or even last year, or even, a month ago. And yet so many of us really, we send out that kind of that negative vibe of, oh well, now he's got a new person, and now and now he want to. Maybe he did change, maybe he did some work, but guess what? If he didn't, he's going to get the same result. So you don't, either way, you don't need to worry about it, because whatever you're sending out, whatever intention that you're sending out for someone else, is really what you're wishing upon yourself. Again, you're going to attract what you get. So it's better to really work on, intending healing, prosperity, abundance, love, and peace for everyone. Forgive people. Let it go. Understand people are capable of change. Understand people make stupid mistakes, because you've made stupid mistakes too. The guilt and shame is something that a lot of people, it's really been ingrained in us. And those guilt and shame are subconscious things that have really been drilled into us. And even when we're talking about parents, because a lot of these subconscious things were formed by our parents. We have to look at our parents objectively and say, do I want to be like my mom? I mean, my mom has some great traits, don't get me wrong, but do I really want her life? Some of us do. Some of us can want traits of our mother, but my thing is, do you really want their life? And, when you can be honest and, let go of this loyalty, of, well, she brought me into this world and I got to just kowtow to everything. No, no, God. No, God. And honestly, I feel like a lot of times those are the main inhibitors. It's the people that are closest to us. The people that we have this kind of, obligation to be loyal to bullshit. No, God. If it doesn't feel good, that's a sign. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for not feeling good about things. Exactly. Yes, religion, and that's a big one. That's huge. The church loyalty to abusive parents. I'm not even going to go into black parents and cultural abuse as a norm, because that's a whole other can of worms. But as a race of people, we need to start examining what we're creating. We need to start examining what we're creating, and we need to start examining what's healthy and what's toxic. Okay, because that whole, sit down, shut up, you speak when you're spoken to, stay out grown people's business and all that, that's all abusive. Okay, that's got to be a whole separate video, because that style of raising children is what's creating this race of people who, we can't get over things, and we claim racism, and when we play this race card all the time, and the man and capitalism and this and that, and this is why, this is that. No, you are creating that. Universal law applies to everyone. It doesn't matter if you're not aware of it or not. But like I said, I know that's really controversial. I'm not gonna, we can do that another time. But I just wanted to talk about, the energetic frequency, the average vibration, and really understanding that it has very little to do with what you're saying out of your mouth. It has everything to do with how you're feeling inside, and what your true beliefs about yourself and and your beliefs about others are. That is what's creating the situations that you find yourself in. Because technically, frankly, what we're experiencing now, today, in this moment, is history. We've created this day before today. We created the experiences that we're having right now prior to today. So, yes, God. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I thank everyone for coming on, and everybody on Facebook. Yes, God. We were in a relationship with a great lady, but both her and myself had some abandonment. Okay. I was going to address it. But yeah, so, and I saw a little bit of it. But I just want to, again, about the abandonment issue. When you have abandonment issues, if you've already been able to identify that in yourself, you need to be very mindful of how you abandon your own self and your own peace of mind for the sake of pleasing other people. Okay, because that's how abandonment issues show up. Loyalty as well. Loyalty is very important. Okay, loyalty is very important to me in relationships of all kinds. I know there is healthy loyalty and unhealthy loyalty. Okay, there is only one type of loyalty that's healthy, and that's the loyalty to yourself. Period. Period, period, period. Because loyalty in yourself is going to show up as a healthy relationship. Now, and let me go a little bit deeper with what I mean by that. Loyalty to yourself is making sure that whoever is exposed and has access to your precious energy is going to love it, is going to be compassionate with it, is going to respect it, is going to be honest with it. And the only way that you can attract someone who's going to do those things is if you're doing those things for yourself. You are only attracting relationships and situations that are going to treat you how you treat yourself. That's the bottom line. Yeah. And it's okay. And it's okay to remove yourself from toxic situations. It is okay to do that. That doesn't necessarily mean, like I said, that we have to cut people off forever and for the rest of our lives. But sometimes we need that space away to get our vibration right. We got to get our vibration right. And then maybe once we've raised our overall average frequency, we can come back around and say, okay, we can approach it from a higher version of ourselves and say, you know what, this is unacceptable. I understand that this is the way that this family has been operating for a while, but I love myself and I respect myself and I'm loyal enough to myself and I care about you enough to express this to you in a mature, loving, and compassionate way that this shit is unacceptable. And if that you're not okay with that, that's okay. But I have to do what I need to do to make sure that my life is at peace. And sometimes we have to separate ourselves from those dynamics to be able to get to a place where we can communicate effectively in that way without being sucked into the negativity and the drama and the lower vibrations. Thank you so much. Yes, God. So I have, I've done this video live on Instagram. I've done it live on YouTube, and I've done it live on Facebook. So, if you are, wherever you're watching from, thank you so much for taking, some time to tune in with me and, listen. Hopefully this has helped you in some way. Yes, God. I do offer consultations, personal development consultations. Um, I'm actually going to be developing some more ones more specific to the type of issues that I see people having more frequently. But the perspective alchemy consultation is kind of the one that covers the gambit, where we can really get more personal and really talk about what it is that you're dealing with and really dig down and drill down into your personal situation and really start to set the groundwork to heal from the inside. Because once we start doing the internal healing and being able to be honest with ourselves and being able to confront things, then we will rapidly, and that's the beautiful thing about manifestation and universal law, is that it's quick. It's so quick. And we can't feel guilty or blame ourselves or judge ourselves for things we didn't know before we knew them. That's not fair. You are so welcome. And so, yeah, I do want to just circle around and touch back on yoni steaming and just say that, when I first came and discovered vaginal steaming, it was for physical reasons. And in retrospect, of course, because hindsight is 2020, I realize now that it really started a really deep personal development journey for me that would, attract and kind of create this reality for me where I was really forced to delve a lot deeper into myself. And that's the beauty of yoni steaming. And that's why my approach has always been, yes, it's for the physical side, but more importantly, it's for the energetic and the emotional side, because that energy and that emotions are the things that are physically manifesting these imbalances that we're having in our health and in our womb. My question says, I come in and do a session in person. Sorry that's required. So the reason why I don't do sessions in person is because I want for them to be recorded. So the online consultations are always recorded, okay? And I want for you to have something tangible to walk away from the session with. I don't want you to have to be taking notes during our consultation. I don't want you to have to, try and remember what I said. I want to be able to provide you with a link that at any time, if you're in a bad spot or, you've had something chaotic happen or whatever, I want you to be able to go back, click on that video, listen to what we talked about and be able to reference. So that's the reason why I don't do in-person consultations. I prefer to do them online. Even if you're in the same city, even if you live next door, I'm going to tell you, hey, our appointment's at 1:30. I'm going to send you the link at 1:15. Let's get on and let's record it. Unless you wanted to, I guess perhaps I may be open to, if we both had our laptops and up in front of us, but I find it to be, I want people to be in a space. I want people to be comfortable being vulnerable and opening up without the guidance of having someone else's personal energy there, because that can also be a sign or an indication of some codependency of wanting to, physically be with the person. Now, there's not to say, anyone who knows me, any of my clients, if you're local and you want to do, come by and give me a hug and, we can chat for a little bit, that's fine. I have no issues doing that. With the consultations, though, I do like to keep them documented. But again, if it's something, if you're dealing with some serious like heavy trauma, if you've dealt with like some sexual, trauma or things like that. Now, there are certain exceptions that I can make for that because I understand that you want to feel safe and, you want to feel secure in that. And that's okay. But, either way, if you did have a consultation with me in person, I'm going to record it. I want to have it as available so that you can refer back to it. Okay. Let's see, make sure I answered all these questions. Yeah. Okay. Let's see, new comments on Facebook. Yes, God. Okay. So I think I've responded to everyone. Um, Whoever this person on YouTube, you can ask the question and then you can retract it. I'm very sensitive about anonymity and confidentiality, so I will not say your name, and you can feel free to delete it. But if there is something that you want me to address while you're here, I would say shoot your shot right now, so I can address it for you. Um, but again, like I said, these types of things are they're crucial. You know, they're really crucial because we have to start to change our patterns. You know, only when we start to change our patterns from the inside is when we can start manifesting different experiences on the outside. You're so welcome, Morgan. Yes, God. All right, so I'm like I said, I'm gonna jump off if there aren't any more questions. And again, thank you everyone for tuning in. I really plan on doing these a lot more frequently. So yes, God, if you have anything specifically that you want me to address, I will. I'm gonna actually let me write it down. I'm taking a note right now on guilt. And why it's such a it's counterproductive. Guilt is counterproductive. And I'm going to just say this and I'll just leave this here. Guilt is really forcing yourself to pay for something twice. That's what it is. Guilt is forcing yourself to pay for something twice. You don't go into the store and, go buy, yourself a new pair of shoes and then go back in the store and pay for them again. So why on earth would you continue to make yourself feel lower or beneath or unworthy or, guilt yourself into something that's already happened in the past? You've already reaped the consequences of whatever you did or whatever happened or whatever didn't happen. You got to let it go. The only way you're going to be able to create something new, because the thing with guilt is the more that you keep replaying that feeling and that scenario in your mind, guess what's going to happen? Pop quiz, guess what's going to happen? You're going to create it again. Thank you so much for that advice. I appreciate that. Yes, and I do. I always do. Yes, God. Shame in the Black community and how to cure it. Yeah, well, and yes, God, that's a controversial one. And we have to start taking accountability. We have to start taking responsibility for ourselves. We got to do the work. We got to stop waiting for somebody to give us 40 acres and a mule. We got to stop waiting for somebody to give us some damn reparations. We got to stop. The internet is here. Every barrier that we ever had before as humanity is gone. It's gone. And I'm not gonna, and the thing about it is that, okay, yes, I understand that we want to protest and march, when there's an injustice that happens. Universally, energetically speaking, what do you think we're creating when we're all coming together under that for that purpose? We need to start really using our critical faculties instead of jumping on this bandwagon of black this, black that, black, black, black. Because in effect, we're creating division. Not only bad vibes, but we're creating another event to happen. And I was one of them. I was all on the black bandwagon for a long time. A lot of my friends, you're blacker than, you light skinned, but you're the blackest one here. Like, I was all on it. But until I realized that is there is a poverty mentality in that. Okay. And I know everybody was all up in arms about what Kanye said. I can't believe he said slavery was a choice. Oh my God. Guess what? A lot of us are still enslaved today. And guess what? It is a damn choice. It is a choice. And we need to start choosing better, choosing more prosperously, and choosing better outcomes for ourselves. We so focused on gathering and protesting and doing this and doing that, But what are you doing internally? Where are you taking accountability for yourself? Where are you examining yourself and saying, you know what, this might be an outdated belief. This isn't really empowering me. This doesn't feel good. Because the person that walks around talking about racism all day and night, guess what they're going to experience all day and night? Yes, God. Well, I'll put it into words. I don't care. I don't care. And I know that because the bottom line is at the end of the day, no matter what your position or where you come from on anything, someone is always going to have something to say against it. Nobody is ever always going to agree with you. So guess what? You might as well stand up for what the fuck you believe in. That's just period, point blank, no matter what. Yes, God. Exactly. Choosing it. Yes, God. And the thing is, here's my other point. We want to divide ourselves from white people all the time, and these wealthy people are bad and money is bad. Okay, but now let me use some rational common sense here. If I see this group of people who has been prosperous, and let's be honest, let's not act like white people have not made a great impact on humanity, okay? Because that's the other thing. That's an ignorant saying, using words like cracker and white people and all people. That's so ignorant. That's not fucking true. It's not true. Not all white people are bad. A lot of white people are great, okay? So to box them in like that shows your own ignorance and your own limits and your own beliefs. But let's be honest about the fact that the universe compensates people for the value that they offer. I don't give a damn if you think somebody's a crook. If you think you got to also question your beliefs around wealth and wealthy people. And I had to do this a long time ago and realize that I had very negative associations with money. I thought money made you evil. I thought wealthy people were crooked. I thought wealthy people, were just, there was just all types of shit in there that I had to really be like, you know what, this is some bullshit. This is not true. Because the bottom line is you cannot help the world if you don't have money. There's only a certain extent that you can go to. That's the bottom line. Okay, even Mother Teresa, yeah, she was poor, but guess what? When people started saw what she was doing, guess what started pouring into her? Resources, 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 so she could help. So here's my thing. Number one, get over the bullshit that all white people are bad. That's that type of mindset and conversation from people that already lets me know in general where their frequency is. I don't want to fuck with it. Period. And money does not determine your mindset. There's a lot of wealthy people that have money that have a piss poor mindset. However, my thing is that if I see that this quote unquote, this race of people, has it better and they're wealthy and this and that, wouldn't I want to take some notes? Wouldn't I maybe want to just see what they into? What y'all doing? What y'all doing that I'm not doing? You know what they're doing that we're not doing? They're not worried about our fucking asses. That's what they're doing. So as you rallying and protesting and doing all this in the name of race, division, because I'm gonna just call it what it is racial division, you're creating more of that. Yeah. The thing is though, a parental, because I'm also biracial. My mother is white. And but my mother raised me with a poverty mindset. And when I say poverty and prosperity mindset, I'm not only talking about money. It's not what I'm talking about only. I'm talking about disempowering beliefs. Beliefs that make me feel like I'm not as good as other people. Beliefs that make me feel like I have to sacrifice and do things that don't make me feel good to be accepted. That is poverty consciousness. Period. And the only thing that can relate from that and be manifested from that is poverty results. And I said this again in another video. Mac Miller. He didn't want for anything financially. But guess what? Guess what type of mentality he had? Piss poor. He was not willing to do the work. He was not willing to raise his overall culmination of his frequency. Okay. He wanted to lean it away. He wanted to drink it away. He wanted to smoke it away. He wanted to snort it a fucking way. So anyways, I'm getting a little, I feel my energy getting, so I'm gonna I'm gonna cut off, and also my phone's about to die. So I just wanted to, martyrdom is not profitable. No, and it's not helpful, because you cannot help the world when you're poor. Stop thinking that being poor is, the way to prove that you're a good person. Stop that shit. Stop it. That's not what you're proving. You're proving how lowly you think of yourself. And I know some, people might, oh, well, what about the people? I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about Americans. I'm talking about everyone who has their eyes on this, that has the access to the internet, that has the access to some damn electricity, who has the means to pay a phone bill or an internet bill every month. I'm talking to you. I'm not talking about children in India. Okay. But anyways, yes, God. Thank you so much. I love you all. I'm very grateful for your energy and your time. I hope this, was helpful for you. And yes, God. I mean, those are your beliefs. And because those are your beliefs, that's what you're going to manifest in your experience. I don't believe that. And I don't have those experiences. I got pulled over by a white police officer going 100 miles an hour, and he let me go. I don't have those experiences because I choose not to perpetrate those beliefs. I believe that God is everywhere. Only God is allowed to approach me. Only God is allowed to come to me. I'm only manifesting and attracting godly things. I'm only manifesting and attracting prosperity. I'm the luckiest person in the world. I'm the most abundant person in the world. I'm the most these are the thoughts that I tell myself. So those experiences, I don't have them. Period. So yes, God. Anyways, I know I keep saying I'm going to leave. I'm going to go. Thank you so much. I love you, and I will talk to you soon.